Welcome to Do It in Durham 2021. Now in its 9th year, Do It in Durham is an event series that takes place during Global Entrepreneurship Week. It is Durham Region's own forum to celebrate, inspire, and support entrepreneurship. Stay tuned as we bring on our presenter.
Good afternoon, everybody. Here we are again, another Do It in Durham 2021 event. We have Jen Maxwell with us today, Clarity Coach. Some great people on here today. I've seen many of them today, so thank you all for being here. So I'm just going to jump into it. Let's get going, but we need some energy. Everybody set your intentions. Let's get going. So I'm just going to do a quick intro and then I'm going to pass it over to Jen. So Do It in Durham 2021 takes place during Entrepreneurship Week, and as it's Durham's own forum to celebrate, inspire and support entrepreneurship. This year, our theme is riding the waves. Just like in surfing businesses, you need to be able to ride the waves, fight the sharks and find the perfect wave. And as I say, pedal like crazy. You've got to paddle, 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 find the right wave. It's all about timing. This event series is a collaboration of organizations and resources for business in Durham region in partnership with business owners and entrepreneurs sharing their expertise. And today, Jen is going to share her expertise with us. So thank you very much. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thanks so much, Andrea. Oh my gosh, I'm super excited to share this stuff. And I think it's really true for every entrepreneur. We always have so much to share and learn from each other. So I'm super excited to talk about how to innovate from the inside out. Because I don't know about you, if you have had a rough year, many of us had to do the pandemic pivot. I certainly did, just when things were getting good. So I'm going to tell you how I managed to continue to innovate. So now I'm feeling out of place again where things are really just kind of cooking along. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to hit the slideshow. There we go. Okay. So here we go. It is Durham, Do It in Durham. We love this. I think that it's fantastic. I think it's the 9th year that this has been happening, and way to go for global entrepreneurship. So let's just get into it. So we're talking about how to innovate from the inside out. Okay. So yes, it is a bumpy road. And so the thing that I have had to learn, and I'm sure many of you are the same, that if you don't face it with delight, it's going to be dreadful the whole way. It's sort of like the first 20 minutes of Saving Private Ryan, if you've seen that. A lot of blood, a lot of gore, there's a lot of death and destruction, and many businesses don't make it the first couple of years. So, and the important thing to remember is you have to keep flexible and look forward to the bumps with delight, which seems a little difficult, but let me just tell you how I did it. First of all, what does it mean to innovate? So I looked it up. Obviously, to make changes in something already established. So people think you have to innovate like from the beginning, from the ground up, a whole new idea. But you can actually innovate by taking parts of things that already exist, because whatever is working isn't working in the best right way. So it's possible to just modify something that's already established. So keep that in mind, especially by introducing new methods, ideas, or products. And of course, number 2, introduce something new, especially a product. So that's really kind of the definition of innovate. So let's see how we can do that as entrepreneurs. So this is one of my favorite questions. Does it sound like you? You're a multi-passionate entrepreneur, and choosing the one right direction can sometimes feel impossible, because if you are used to having a lot of ideas, picking the one thing is just like, it doesn't even, how do I do this? And it feels impossible to pull all your ideas into one functioning business that actually represents all the things that you do and who you are. Or maybe you're doubling down on all your efforts, but you're not actually seeing any results. Like the year I was like, I know, I'm going to print mugs for everybody. And I did all that. And just like, I don't know why I did that. You know, I'm going to make t-shirts this time and everyone's going to love them. And then my business will grow. And that didn't help. Or you aren't clear on your messaging or what it is that you even do. This is like a big one. It's like, I don't actually know what I do. This is the song of our people for sure. And, you know, you're thinking a bumpy road? Well, that would be nice, actually, compared to what feels like sliding down the side of a mountain after a plane crash, especially after the pandemic, or not that we're done it all yet, but when it hit, it was like a huge, like a crash and burn for me. So you may be in that place right now. Oops, let me just get my controls going. Here we go. Okay, so these are 3 reasons right off the bat that you may not be innovating. And let's just kind of talk about what they are. Number 1, you think there's something wrong with you. Let me just tell you, there is nothing wrong with you. Let me just state that out right now. Number 2, you're trying to think outside the box. That's the classic thing that we talk about, right? Think outside the box. Here's the thing that I have learned. Boxes are actually good. Just use them judiciously. So there's something to be said for constructs that actually help you refine your thinking a little bit. So don't be afraid of the box. The box is not a bad thing. Number 3, you're listening to other people that don't resonate with you. You actually need to listen to your own inner compass. So these are 3 reasons that you may not be innovating right now. Okay, you can relate. Rice, thanks Basil for that. So let's dig into some ways that you can actually change some things up. Here's what we're going to learn, what we're going to talk about today. Challenges actually create the opportunities. We have it kind of like challenges are the bad, wrong thing. Like, oh, nobody wants a challenge. That's too hard. Maybe it's a thing that you actually need to be able to grow your business, for one. Number 2, fresh input equals fresh output. Again, this is not a new concept, of course, but remembering to look at it like you can't solve new problems with old thinking. And number 3, business alignment is everything. It is hard to have innovation in your business if you're not aligned. So those are some of the 3 areas we're going to tackle today. Here's the thing, it is not your fault that you ended up here, because we're kind of being sold a bit of a lie that entrepreneurship is like easy, right? Because you're the boss and you can do whatever you want. Well, sometimes a little too much freedom actually results in lack of innovation and lack of movement and growth. And so let's just kind of dig into that a little bit. The real problem is you're probably out of alignment with your perspective on the bumpy road, which will actually end up crushing your business. So bumps are 100% inevitable, but they can be fruitful if you're willing to see it that way. So who is this Jennifer Maxwell anyway? Now that I said all that, and why should you listen to anything I say? I've had a number of bumps in my road, bumps on the road for me along the way. I've done many things in my entrepreneurial career. One of which was being a wedding planner for over a decade. When that was time to wrap that up, I moved into other areas. I was using the DISC personality profiles in my business, and I thought, you know, that's something I'd really like to explore. So I started doing corporate training. I paid, you know, a high ticket coach to get me in. December 2019 was my best month on record. It was like the clouds had parted. It was fantastic. And then January, we had a personal tragedy hit in 2020. My nephew passed away, and you know, it was not a good time for a couple of months. And I was like, okay, I finally got back on my feet. February, I'm going to crush it. March 13th comes. Everybody knew what happened then. All of my corporate contracts lined up. They all just said, sorry, Jen, you know, we're going from 3-day conferences to 2 hours online, and you didn't make the cut. And there, my entire business was decimated. I've had a number of things like that happen. And so it was really painful, really, really painful for me to kind of go, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? And so I kept trying to, that's okay, I'll do like 15-minute things and freebies and all these things. And I was just like, it's not working. It is not working. And here's the truth that I wasn't facing. I actually didn't even like what I was doing. I loved delivering the content, but it wasn't me. I was delivering, you know, content that I was trained to deliver, and it's not who I am. And I was like, maybe there's something here. Let me start again, right? Okay, this is the song of our people. So this is really kind of what brought me, you know, over a year and a half later to where I'm at today. So I know exactly how you feel. The thing I was looking for was clarity and innovation inside my business after more than one crash. I forgot to tell you, when I was a wedding planner, as I was moving out of that, I actually wanted to create an online wedding planning platform. And there were only 1 or maybe 2 on the market, so I knew it could fly. So I started down that process. Turns out the guy was showing me all this work. I brought in the other person. I paid big bucks to get that big branding, get the professional thing. The guy comes in to implement it, and he's like, Jen, there's nothing there. There's literally a shell. There's no back end. Like, what? I get my life saving. Well, I have had a number of crashes in my life. It's just this, like what feels like this hamster wheel of constant innovation. So if you haven't had those things, count yourself lucky. If you had, you're in good company. So let's just talk about now, where can you go with that? So I tried all the things. This is what I thought innovation is, right? Thanks, Jackie. So yeah, I just doing all the things, right? Corporate training, free talks, giveaways, sales programs, one-to-ones, conferences, blogs, networking groups, team building, good branding, nail the sale. That was a course I built last year. I was running hard and fast at whatever I could because I thought that's what innovation was. Well, let me just tell you, let you in a little secret here. Business is like sex. If it's not working, doing it harder and faster doesn't make it better. Now, I cannot claim this quote. I heard it from a friend of mine who heard it from somebody who was interviewed by Marie Forleo. So forgive me for, I didn't get her name, but I thought, isn't that the truth? You can't do it harder and faster. It doesn't make it any better, right? Let's take a hot second here, people. So doing all the things isn't innovative. It makes us look like jack of all trades and master of none. You can't have somebody say, oh yeah, I'm an electrician. I also paint houses, and I'm, then I do gardening, and it's just like, I don't think you do any of those things good. So I'm just not going to take you. I'd rather pay an electrician, because I know he's not just going to hope for the best and my house going to burn down, right? It also produces little results because you're not focusing your energy on a specific outcome. Clarity brings alignment, which paves the way for innovation. Clearly. Okay. So here's what happens, what I discovered. Discontentment happens when we're not actually connected to why we're doing what we're doing. If we don't know why we're doing it, there's just no congruency, right? Or you think you're solving a problem that you think you're solving, but it's actually not the one you solve. You solve something completely different, but you don't even have the capacity to kind of draw the through line. Or then you get that ugly imposter syndrome that keeps you small and distracted. See parts 1 and 2. So that happens when you're not connected to what you're doing and you don't really know this problem that you're solving. A lack of awareness of yourself and of others, and simply because you're too close to it. And Andrew and I were talking about this before we got on the call here, is that sometimes in our own business, we can't solve our own problems that like we can for other people, because I think that's where our genius lives. What you can solve for other people, you cannot solve it for yourself. And that's when you need to bring in other people to give you that perspective. It's sort of like trying to read the label from inside the jar. You just can't. Okay. If this is resonating, give me a thumbs up, and I should say, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to pop in. I don't just want to kind of be a talking head at you as we go. Yes, Jackie, go ahead. Thumbs up. Any questions? No. Oh, just a thumbs up.
Sorry,
okay, good. Thank you for that.
I meant to do that to be the thumbs up. I hit the wrong emoji.
No problem. Okay, good. I'm glad we're here. We got a live one. All right, good. So here's the thing. Here's how we do and see life. We encounter a problem. We presume there's something wrong. And then we live inside the pain of that. And then we have this cycle, like something's wrong here. Like it's a problem. And we actually need to shift our perspective in order to get out of that. Okay, so lesson number 1, we're going to blow through some of these, and some of them we'll spend a little bit more time on. But the lesson here is that challenges and bumps in the road actually create opportunities for innovation. So what if those challenges that you're facing were actually part of the victory or the story that you were meant to overcome and then tell as part of the journey upon your arrival? So what got me through having put my life savings into a shell of a business that collapsed, that I walked away with nothing from, was one day this is going to make a really good story. And that's what I clung to. I don't care what you have to cling to, but that may be if you have to see yourself on stage delivering this, or writing, getting an article in Forbes, talking about that thing, that may be the thing that kind of helps you hold on. One day this is going to make a really good story. How many stories have we heard that started with there had to be a better way? Steve Jobs, unceremoniously removed from his own company. one day this will make a really good story. It's the same thing if there's having challenges. You have to make friends with the challenges and the bumps along the way, or you just can't survive it. Can I get an amen, right? Innovation actually comes from a void. So more than this will make a great story one day. Consider that every product or service came from, there had to be a better way. Whatever is not working for you right now is actually a gift. And that is the gift of innovation. You need to create something from the void. So, you know, if you know the story of Sarah Blakely, who came up with Spanx, for example. I was just watching her on Masterclass the other day. She's was talking about how, like every story, right? She wanted to wear white pants without everything hanging out and showing through. So she cut the feet off a pair of nylons, and so it began. It was a little more in depth than that. That is a soundbite that gets used. But the truth is, there was a void. There's something missing in the marketplace. If there's something that doesn't work for you, this is a beautiful opportunity to look at what's not working and see that as the gift. Instead of it being a trauma or a terrible thing, you can be like, this was a gift for me to figure out. So that's the first takeaway. Okay, so first thing, challenges create the opportunities. Look for the challenges, look for the problems in what's happening, because there's a gift there in that for you. I know it's just another small story, but I've never dropped my phone ever and I've never smashed a screen except for one time. My phone was getting old. I was living on the iPhone 6 for many years, quite happily. Out of nowhere, I'm standing outside my door about a year and a half ago, 2 years, just before the pandemic, I guess. And my phone, like, it jumps out of my hands, lands face first on the cement. And I was like, oh, that is not going to be good. Picked it up, shattered screen. And the first thing I could have thought was something negative, but actually, because I've been training my brain to look for the gifts, was, looks like I'm getting a new phone now. And so when, even in the face of your phone smashing or, you know, whatever, oh, it looks like there's an opportunity here. And you have to train yourself for what is the gift? What is the opportunity? Okay, number 2, fresh input equals fresh output. I said it at the beginning, you can't solve new problems with old thinking. So what new input are you actively seeking right now that's helping you shift your mindset? Now, there's more to this, and we're going to go a little bit deeper farther on. We're just kind of covering some of the highlights right now. But really, I know, Marlon, you've got a, like, what book am I reading right now list happening. But if anybody wants to figure out how to put new input in through a book, Marlon's your guy. He's got a list and he's got a stack as high as he is, I'm sure of it. So you need that new input, whatever it is, a podcast, a book, something. You cannot innovate inside of a vacuum. And so it's like there's no air, there's no movement, there's no nothing, there's stagnation. So here's what I've discovered in my journey recently. There are really 2 types of people, and I struggled with this for so long. Those who need self-care and those who are on standby. And follow me on this one. For, you know, a year or so, I was working with this coach, and, you know, she's got this great question, like, you know, what are you doing for self-care today? And people we're always talking about the self-care, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I don't want to take a bath. I don't want to, I just don't feel like I need self-care. And it just hit me one day. I am not, self-care comes from people that drain their batteries to nothing. So they're either working hard to produce something and then they stop and they're like, wow, I'm spent and I really have to take care of myself. Or they're working hard for other people and they haven't taken care of their own needs. They haven't fed themselves properly. They're not getting enough rest. They're burning the candle at both ends. Other people like myself, we are on standby. I do my best to get a good amount of sleep. I take a lot of great joy in a good cup of coffee. I'm generally like a bit like a horse with in the bit. I'm waiting for the starting gun to go off. And that's when I learned there's a difference. I'm not so burnt out that I need to take care of myself. I am waiting for that moment where I can kickstart into things. And so that's when I realized there's a difference between people who need self-care and people who are on standby. And let me tell you the ways in which you can innovate from either of these places. And this was a huge aha moment for me. So you need to be attuned to what your mind and body needs in order to create innovative output. So on the left-hand column, you can see, I would say these are our people that need self-care. They need to recharge. They're often described as self-care. This is designed for those that run their battery down to near zero before they take time to rest and recharge, or before they're able to get back at it. But then there's two on the other side, and you'll notice that the batteries are pretty much full. These are our standby people. And standby people, so I've discovered, because I am a standby person, and if this is you, give me a thumbs up, or let me know if, oh my gosh, this is like an aha moment. There are two ways in which you can gain innovation or insight. So thinking is a big one. This is the space, the act of quiet contemplation is often overlooked as like this invaluable use of time. It's incredibly invaluable. Consider that Edison used to fish without bait. And you think, why would you do that? And he would say, because nobody bothers me. For me, you'll know if this is you, because you'll know where your best thinking place is. For me, it's in the shower. My kids don't bother me. My husband doesn't come in. I lock the door. Sometimes the water runs cold because I'm in there thinking. And this is where I get my best ideas. In fact, anything rote. So if you're like washing dishes, that's another great place for me to think. I'm not a runner. If you're a runner or a walker, that kind of repetitive action, you can hand wash your floor. There's something about repetitive action that actually reorganizes the brain. So I want you to consider what that is for you. This is a really beautiful place. Sometimes for me, I just go sit in the morning when the warm weather is warm, and I have a cup of coffee, and I need to think things through. That may be a place for you. Or you may need to actually engage with your environment. So, feeding off the energy of others or your environment can often spark a fresh or innovative idea. Maybe it's a walk down to the lake. You're looking and you're seeing how, you're noticing, you're watching a bird build its nest, and then that sparks another idea. And all of these things help you engage and interact with the environment. I once knew of a comedian. You can't write material without observing the environment. You cannot live, even thinking probably isn't his best place, right? He's got to go and engage with the environment to watch people and see the comedy in every day. It's the same thing with you, perhaps, if this falls for you. So then you need to engage with your environment. You're going to get some valuable feedback, a source of information and innovation, and then you may need to take it back and then think and have your brain process stuff. So that was a really huge one for me. Tell me, thank you, mic drop. Somebody emailed me after I sent this out on one of my newsletters, and he's like, you have just solved the $1 million question. My whole life I have said, I don't need self-care. And now you just solved it for me. And I was like, these are my people. So I hope that was a valuable input for you, because that was when I got that, man, oh man, that was really, really a huge mic drop. Yeah, thanks for that, Scott. And yes, Catherine, just reminded my client from yesterday to get some self-care. Yeah, so some people need, or it could be a combination. Here's the thing, if you're also a driver, sometimes you drive till you drop and you're like, wow, I haven't stopped for months. And then you forget to, when you stop, that suddenly new ideas come and it gives you something to drive toward. So I think that you could be one or the other there. Okay, let's move on. So again, these are just some suggestions. You can read a book like Marlon does, listen to a podcast, get in conversation, get out, being in communication with your environment, get quiet, take a shower. That's what I like to do. Comment below, okay, yeah, let me know, put a thing in the comments or share. What are some of your tried and true ways? Now that you think about it, where do you go? Okay, so coffee and writing for Jackie, awesome. Yeah, tidying for Catherine, it's repetitive, 100%. There's like this thing that happens, right? You're hanging, you're putting, you're gathering, walking, running, morning yoga. Yay, okay, you guys get it. Meditation, amazing. I don't like meditating, but I got something for you instead. But if you love it, that's amazing. I got a secret tip coming up for that instead. To me, it's like self-care. I don't get it. I don't want to stop in the middle of the day, but if it works for you, and I know it does for many people, You just keep doing it. Yeah. Or get on your spin bike. Amazing. Yes, Nancy, that's awesome. Okay, you guys are crushing it. So you already know, and people know this intuitively. It's probably just that you've never become conscious of it. And when you put a practice in place that allows you to engage with your environment, get quiet and think, or get rejuvenated inside of that self-care, that's where your body recharges and your mind recharges, and you'll begin to start innovating again. Okay. Whew, getting good. Okay, so that was lesson number 2. Fresh input equals fresh output. So whatever got you here can't get you there, which is wherever it is that you want to go. New thinking results in new ways of being and doing. So grant your mind the time to deliver you that solution. That's the other thing. We think so hard, like, oh, come on, give it to me. Where is it? And your subconscious is screaming, just get quiet for a hot second and I will tell you. But we're too busy, right? So maybe it's okay to not do all the time. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of water here. Okay. Okay, here's my bonus secret tip. Oh, you guys. So as I said, I don't like to meditate. My husband swears by it. He goes in the middle of a day, he's like, I'm meditating. He closes the door when nobody disturbs him. And he gets great results from it. Me, it's like taking a bath. I don't know, I fall asleep. What am I thinking about? It doesn't work for me. I learned this secret about a month ago, and it is spending time inside the theta brain state. So if you're not familiar, it is the time of your brain when about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes inside of sleep. So 20 minutes before you fall asleep and 20 minutes after you wake up. Your brain is in this, excuse me, really beautiful, fertile place. It is like moist soil ready and waiting for seeds to be planted. You can pretty much think about anything else all day long, but if you take those 20 minutes, if you love the snooze button, this is for you. Set your alarm 20 minutes before you actually want to get out of bed, and you hit the snooze button, right? Twice. I love it. And I promise you, this is the place, because you're not quite asleep, but if you doze off, your snooze will go off again, which is why I set my snooze button. And it keeps you in that sort of subconscious phase and state. I started doing this, like I said, about a month ago. And all I'm thinking about when I wake up now is about my business and my new membership and, some things I want to put into it. And what other ideas could I do? I want to expand that idea. And it's like planting all these ideas in the most fertile place of the time of day that your brain is like most absorbing it. Do not pick up your phone anymore. Put your phone away well before you go to sleep, because if you doze off while you're looking, you are allowing other people's thoughts and their life to impact your thinking. I shut off all the news. I stopped checking Facebook at those times. I really only go in now to do my business. So, and I'm very, very intentional about the theta brain state. All right. Thumbs up. What do you think about that? Yeah, right. Maybe it's because it's finally calm. Yeah. And I will say this, I think it was Edison, or maybe it was Einstein. I'm not sure. I should double check. Where he used to, if he couldn't find a solution, he would go and hold a ball and sit in his chair and intentionally basically intend to fall asleep, except he wouldn't fall asleep, because if you get too relaxed, he would drop the ball and it would wake him up. And it was in those stages that the brain begins to solve problems for you. So that is a huge, huge takeaway today. Yes, you have a question, Jackie. Phones of the demon, 100%. Question, Jackie.
Okay, sorry. I was just typing it because I didn't know if you saw. I thought I had recently come across a video, and correct me if I'm wrong, but theta state is the actual area where you can affect subconscious permanent change. Is that correct?
I believe that it is. It's the most fertile phase. And so if you are intentional about what you're putting into it at that time, those are the results that you're going to get, which is why it is critical to get off social at those times. It is critical to be careful what you're watching before bed. It is to be, when you get drifting about things that are in the news, Be intentional about bringing your thoughts back to what do I want right now? Or what do I want for today? Whether it's, you know, a loving relationship with my family, whether it's business related, it doesn't matter. Irina, yeah. Honestly, I believe that's really true. Or the 20-minute power nap. Yes. Baroque music also organizes the brain. We spend the first 6 or 7 years of our life in theta and program. Yes, right? Okay, so this is a real gift today. If nothing else, take this away. This has shifted my business in the last month even. The numbers are going up. The number on the scale is going down. Listen, you can use it for whatever you want. So that's your takeaway for today. So that's just a bonus secret tip. That will help you innovate.
Do you have any suggestions as to when you're in that theta space, how to activate to make subconscious permanent change?
I think it's just keep thinking about it every day. Just, you know, whatever. I have to say, I'm not a numbers person. I don't actually like picking a number goal. Like, oh, you know, I like to think, yes, I'd like to have a certain number of followers, but I actually get bored with that very quickly. So I shift that now into, you know, how is it I want my relationships to look? Or how do I see when I'm engaging with my clients? You know, it's a beautiful group of people that are fully engaged, that they're learning, and I don't know. So I think whatever it is that really brings you joy to think about that. I think that's the quickest thing. I don't even know any more than that, but it's working. And if I decide to do a little more research, I may. Right now, so far, it's working. So far, so good. Just think about what brings you joy, and you're just going to start seeing that. Full health too, right? Cancer, be gone, whatever it is. I really believe that, and that is not medical advice. Repetition makes a lot of sense to create permanent change. Yeah, I believe so too. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so we've done the first two parts. Challenges actually create opportunities. It's a gift. Fresh input equals fresh output. All right, we're going to move on to the business alignment. Business alignment is everything. And I really believe working from your innate strengths and abilities helps you intentionally intentionally create routines that make room for innovation. And this was another big challenge that I worked inside of, because I'm not like most of the guru coaches out there, and I struggled for so long. So let me tell you my secrets, because if you're like me, and I think anyone that kind of showed up here probably has a similar approach to business and life, you may not enjoy the self-flogging. Self-flogging not required. Okay, so if you're over the self-flogging, you're in the right place today. So how do you get aligned to make room for innovation? Let's find out. Self-awareness. 3 cheers for self-awareness. It's actually the cornerstone of personal and business alignment. So how do you get that? Well, there are really 2 questions, and I'm going to dig a little bit into the tool that I use on a regular basis. It's DISC personality profiles. I feel like I'm throwing a lot at you today, but boy, it's kind of juicy, and I hope it's not going too fast. So if you're familiar with any kind of personality insights out there, there's things like Myers-Briggs, there's Strength Finder, which I love. There's a whole bunch of other really great metrics. I say whatever works for you, use it. I happen to use the DISC personality profiles because it's really only 2 questions. And here's the key thing, and I actually ended up having a 90% closing rate using these strategies in my business as a wedding planner, because I simply could see who I was speaking to, and I could use the language that they could hear and understand, and that's we could relate on it. Yeah, I'm glad that you love it so much too, Jackie. Things like Myers-Briggs are great, but I could never remember them. And here's the other thing. A lot of these personality approaches are very self-focused, which is great, but that doesn't help you when you're dealing with your client. So it's sort of like, you know, when a client walks in the room, you couldn't say, I would love to help you, but if you could just, you know, do a Myers-Briggs test and get it back to me, then I'd really be able to help you, right? It's just, you could never do that. So it's our job as service providers to be able to understand what our client's motivation is, and so to ourselves. Let's start with ourselves first, and you'll see that you can quickly kind of transfer this information onto every person you're coming into communication with. So the 2 questions, and this is why I love it, because you can't get it wrong. Ask yourself, is somebody more outgoing or are they more reserved? And you can ask yourself this. Now, we're a blend of all 4, but for this exercise and for this moment, you can just, if you want to type in your response into the chat, if you're feeling more outgoing or more reserved, let me know. I'll take a sip of water here. Reserved, outgoing, reserved, reserved, mix of both, reserved. Okay, awesome, outgoing. Yes, and you may be both or different in different situations. So I'm not going to hold you to it, and you can change your mind later, and you can change your mind at any time. So the next, and I would say most important question is whether you are more task focused or people focused. And let me tell you the difference. Yeah, different at different times. A task person loves lists. You don't do anything without a list. And the first thing you write at the top of your list is make a list just so you have something to scratch off. And then you go through your day and you're doing all your tasks and you're doing this and this and this. And then you get to the end of the day and you go to bed and you think about all the lists and all the things that you did today. I did this and this and that. Oh my gosh, I forgot that thing. And you pull out your phone and you make a note so that you can remember to add it to your list for tomorrow. That'll be number 2 after you make a list. And so that's kind of how you do and see life. The whole world is a task to complete. Everything in it is a task, which is different than the people, because people are all about the conversations you have, the connection and communication. Oh, I saw this funny meme on Facebook today. Or you're thinking about a friend who lost their dog and you're thinking, should I make them food? I don't know. Should I like make a casserole, and you're feeling for them? Or, you know, so you go to bed thinking about all the things at night when it's time to watch the news. Instead of watching all the finance and things you don't care about, you want to watch things like the special interest story, like the Syrian family that came to Canada, then they set up a restaurant, and now you're finding out a year later how they're doing. Oh, we should maybe go. They're in Peterborough. They're so close, and I should go support them. If this is how you're thinking, you're probably a people person. Again, so you think mainly task, Nancy. Okay. So task for sure, you live for lists. That's funny. Yeah, so you're already seeing it. And this is really, really critical point, because this is where 90% of the conflict happens. It'll happen, let's say, for example, if you're a task parent and you have a people child, you're like, just could we make 20 minutes to get your homework done? And you're like, come on. And they're like, yay, homework time. We can finally have some milk and cookies together. I love being with you. Do you see how the conflict could happen, right? This shows up when you're in different situations and maybe when you're dealing with other people. So this is really the most important differentiator. Whether someone's outgoing or reserved is okay, manageable, but whether someone is task or focused is really critical. So start paying attention to how you do business in life and how you interact with other people. Mic drop number 2. Thanks for that, Scott. Okay, so let's put it all together. And I want you to peg yourself now on where you think you might land. So if you're outgoing and task-oriented, you're probably in the D quadrant. Again, we're a blend of all 4, so you're not getting pigeonholed, but you may have 1 or 2 main traits. If you're outgoing and people-focused, you would be in the I quadrant. If you're reserved and more people-focused, you'd be in the S quadrant. And if you're more reserved and task focused, you would be in the C quadrant. So yeah, you already know. Yes, you have a cheat sheet. Okay, so now I'm going to throw up what the blend is. And this is going to help us know really kind of how we can help to innovate, which is what this is all about. That's why we're going down this. Okay, so CID blend. Okay, here we go. So if you're outgoing and task focused, you would be in the D quadrant. So that is our most dominant personality. So direct, a little demanding sometimes. You forget to say please. You know, like, give me the wrench. Is there a please with that? Well, there's water going everywhere. Is it really important right now? You're decisive. You're determined. You are a doer. You are on task all the time. You're getting things done. Move or be moved is your approach to life. A great example would be Kevin O'Leary. There's no crying in business. How am I going to make my money? Or Kamala Harris. She doesn't mince her words. I'm speaking, right? You know exactly what's going on there. Very clear and decisive. So that may be you. If that's you, give me a thumbs up or a, oh my God, that's me. Now moving over to our I personalities. These are our inspired type or influencing type. They're also impressionable, interactive, impressive, and interesting. A great example are usually our entertainers. So Maya Rudolph, Chris Rock, Jim Carrey, very expressive. When Kramer walks into the room, you know what you're getting. excuse me, and you'll see this all over Commedia dell'arte, way back when, to modern day sitcoms. And you'll see, in fact, most of these archetypes are played out. If you pull out, you know, Seinfeld or Friends or any of these shows, you will see where everybody fits into one of these sort of main categories. So it's kind of fun. Okay, so moving down to our S quadrant, this is reserved and people focused, and this is our supportive type: steady, stable, sensitive, status quo. We don't want to rock the boat here. A little bit shy, not so much shy as, you know, I will do all this work. I just don't want to be in the spotlight. Thank you very much. So these are people that are behind the scenes and they're happy to be there. Do not call them up on stage without warning. They would not like that. No, they wouldn't. So some of our most famous S personalities would be like Mother Teresa, Mr. Rogers, the nicest person, right? If you know the nicest person, chances are they're probably an S personality. Okay, if this is you, give me a thumbs up or oh my God, that's me. Okay, moving on to our C personalities, reserved and task focused. These are our cautious or calculating, competent, conscientious, contemplative, careful, compliant types. These ones are our rule keepers. So they are looking at what's going on. No, we cannot, you have to follow the rules. We have, you know, we're working at a nuclear plant. You want someone or a pilot who is going to be running the show here. They go into their emergency checklist before they take off. Thank God for them. So some great examples of high C personalities would be Captain Sully. If you recall, about a decade ago, Miracle on the Hudson, you know, he had to land at 3 minutes after taking off from LaGuardia. He couldn't get back. He landed in the Hudson. One small move, the thing cartwheels, everybody dies. Or Mary Jackson, if you're familiar with the movie Hidden Figures. She was the first Black female mathematician and aerospace engineer that NASA hired back in 1958. We call these people big brain. They have the biggest brains. They got the most knowledge. They're the smartest. They are the I told you so people, because they can see it coming a mile away and they're not usually wrong. So you should listen to them if they see a problem coming, because they're just going to sit back and say, I told you so. I told you 3 months ago this is going to happen. So if you go ahead and give me where you think you may be a blend. You could be an IS or a DI or CS or DC or even a cross blend. That's only about 2% of the population, but it's possible. Or you could be a level blend. Type in where you think you might be. Strong C. Okay, good to know. DC, yes. C. Wow, lots of C's today. Cross blend. Which cross do you think, Basil? DI, yes. I'm going to guess maybe an IC for you, or maybe an SD. I don't know. Mostly a C, maybe even a D, DI as well. Yeah. And you'll find that usually it's, you'll have one strong component and a secondary one will be on either side, or you could be a cross blend. Maybe C the most. Okay. Okay. So this is helpful as we go into some of the other parts, because I think here's my thoughts about who needs self-care. I would say S's need self-care probably the most. They're the ones that please apply your own oxygen mask before assisting others. That was designed for the high S, because they're like saving everybody, saving. Oh my God, I forgot to put my own oxygen mask on, and then they die. So don't be that person. So they forget to feed themselves. They forget to sleep. They're making meals and cookies for the school fundraiser, and they are running all the time. And they don't ask for help, and they just think that it's a burden. They need self-care. They have to stop. They're like, I just need to take a nap. Yes, you do. You deserve it. D's are other people that run hard. It's not so much self-care. They're very conscious of taking care of themselves. In fact, I would say that they put a priority on their self-care first. They get up, they're dressed, they're washed, they eat, because that's fuel, right? Fuel for getting the day going. But they won't take a holiday. It'll be like a year and a half, and I can't take a week off. Do you know what would happen to the momentum of my business if I took a week off? Yeah, you would get some new ideas, and then you'd remember what you were doing, and then you get excited about it. But you forget, because you can just go all the time. So self-care may actually be a holiday, because you need you're so focused on getting a result and accomplishing and achieving that you forget that there could be something else there as well, and that and it's going to fuel you again. So that's my take on who needs self-care versus people that are kind of always ready to go. Eyes are ready to go all the time. We've always got ideas. We're just waiting for that spark. I would say C's have long game. C's are the ones that can find that single strand of DNA on a gene or gene on a DNA strand. I don't even know what they are. See, I don't know. Whatever that is, you got 20-year long game. You find that thing, you're like, aha, eureka, I have found it. You may need some self-care because you might forget to leave your desk because it's been 18 hours and you haven't eaten either. And not because you're serving other people, but because you're serving the task. So that's the takeaway for how you might need input in terms of what you're going to do. You know, Edison, inventors are usually eye people, but I believe that there's a big brain component as well. So they could have been cross blends, ICs, you know, thinking, having that space to think, to come up with new ideas and trying more things. Okay, whew, how's everybody doing? So far, so good? What's our time like? Okay, we're good, we're good. All right, let's change the tile here. Okay, so aligned power zones. When you get where your strength is, this is why I love the disc personalities, because when you understand where it is that you kind of land on the disc personality charts, you will maximize your natural strengths because we all have them. And each personality comes with a hardware that needs a little something different, and self-awareness offers that insight. So if you have that insight, it's going to really just help you direct and help you be intentional about how you craft the day. Otherwise, you'll spend years trying to figure it out on your own, which is kind of what I did. But also, this is a bit of a guide, so you can kind of skip that painful step of trying to figure this out. All right. Alignment through clarity. So alignment is actually different for everyone. And this is why the one size fits all anything never, ever works. When you understand who you are, you will get clear on the ways in which innovation gets sparked most for you. It's going to be different for everybody. Creating a workflow makes room for innovation, and it's critical to do that. This is the goal. Become intentional about where you invest your time and energy. So let me just see what the next slide is. Okay, here's the thing I want to talk about a little bit here. How many of you love time blocking? Hands up, give me a thumbs up, give me a something. Yeah, heck yes. No, I hate time blocking. It doesn't work for me. I cannot schedule inspiration, and I am a highly inspired person. So what I've had to learn to do was, instead of scheduling and blocking out time to do things, like I can't be like, I'm going to be inspired between 2 and 4 p.m. It just doesn't work like that. Not for me anyway, because I know that I'm highly inspired. I actually block the hours that I have available to work. Because here's the thing, we all have flexible lives, right? I have 2 kids right now. They're working virtually. I know when they get on at 8:30, I have until 11:15. That is it. Between 8:30 and 11:15 before I have to get off and make lunch. And then I have until they're back on at 12:15. And then at 1:15, my other one comes, he has phys ed until 2. So we usually go for a walk. And then after that, I can work again a little bit later into the evening. So I am very clear what my limited window of time is. So I've learned to block the time, but not the activities, because that allows for flexibility. But let me tell you, the construct of the time ending at 11:15 gives me a little hustle and the bustle, because then I get very focused on what it is I need to accomplish and want to accomplish and where I'm going to spend my time. If I've got a really juicy idea coming, I know that I better get to my computer and start writing or doing whatever it is I need to do, because at 11:15 that window is up. As opposed to, and again, we're going to talk about that box, right? Oh, I got to step outside the box. The box is helpful because it helps you be mindful of where the parameters are. Because here's the thing about freedom. Too much freedom is a little bit, it makes us, I don't want to say it makes us lazy. That's not what I mean. It's too free, and then we have no goals, and there's nothing to work toward. So putting your time in, like I've got this 2.5, 3 hours here, and I have another 2 hours there. you'll see very quickly how little time you actually have, and you can become very focused and become more focused and productive inside of those hours. And here's the thing, you know, these jobs are like 8 hours a day. Who's doing 8 hours a day? Nobody's doing 8 hours a day at a paid job. You're lucky if you get 6. If you just did 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, 6, could you imagine, of just focused work, including the time for you to get that innovation, the thinking, the engagement with your environment. Man, oh man, there is innovation. It's like that soil is ready and waiting for you. You don't have to be tied to getting that list done as a way of accomplishing. Again, remember we talked about at the beginning, that thinking time and that engagement with your environment is not valued by most of society. But think of the best brains we know. Edison used to fish for hours with no bait. I'm sure people thought he was the laziest guy they ever met. And he came up with some of the most incredible inventions. So don't discount that time inside your brain. Okay, so get intentional. Intentionality creates that innovation. Living inside of that intentional, personally aligned approach is what makes room for innovation to be expressed. When someone gives you a project and you've got these parameters, you get creative because you have constructs and confines, so make them work for you. Whew, okay, so we've actually covered all 3 things. Business alignment is everything. I mean, we reversed it here. When you start with alignment first, it will set the intention, which allows you to have fresh input. And fresh input equals fresh output. You can structure your day where you allow for thinking time, where you allow for time and engagement with the environment, where you know, I got a deadline, I got a seminar coming up a Wednesday at 3:30. I know how many hours I need to prepare for that. You're not a stupid person, right? We're smart people. You don't need to be told when to do your work. And so the beauty of being an entrepreneur is that you have the flexibility to pace yourself and allow room for all of this innovation. Do you know, I had this presentation done weeks ago. And did you know I added like 4 or 5 more tiles today? Because while I was in the shower, I forgot, oh, I need to put a thing in here. When you're prepared and you know how you work, there's room for innovation. And I blocked off the entire day today to allow myself that space because I knew more and new ideas would come as I was in the shower today. So that is really critical for creating that construct without confining how your ideas may look. And then going back to the challenges. Sometimes we bump up against a challenge. Thomas Edison did not figure out how to do the light bulb the first time, right? No, he did not. So the more challenges you come up with, the more opportunities you will have to find something new. Okay, let me just see what the next thing is. I think we're almost wrapped up and I want to have room for questions and ideas. So you want to honor that innovation time by creating a schedule and a routine that works for you. Before I go on, does anybody have any ideas about how do you create a business that makes room for innovation? Has this given you any ideas? Do you already do this already? Do you allow yourself that time? Or is this kind of like, wow, I never even thought about doing that? Or do you feel bad, like, oh, I couldn't possibly just sit and have a cup of coffee for an hour today because that would make me not productive and people would think badly and therefore I'm not a good entrepreneur? Or is this like, no, I've always done that because this is like new for me. In the last year, I've really had to construct this and not, do the self-flogging because I wasn't like, my husband's a driver. He's really productive all the time. And I'm not like that. And I used to think there was something wrong with me. Going back to tile number 1, there is nothing wrong with you. Thoughts. Okay, I've been looking for some ways to maximize strengths to make room. Yay. Okay, that's so good. You don't do social media till 11 or 12 daily. Yeah, you turn it off. That's so good, right? So you already, I think intuitively we have these insights and this knowledge. It's just a matter of how does that fit inside the construct, again with the constructs of what we think it means to run a business. Anyone else have thoughts on that? Feel free to take off your mic or give me some convos in the chat. Ooh, I don't talk enough. My voice is getting hoarse. Wow. I miss all the people. Like the idea of innovation by speaking with others outside my business. My best idea came from another service provider. Yay! Okay, right? There's so much. That's why networking things are really great. It isn't always about how many clients can I get and running at people and here's my card. Barf. Sometimes it's really getting into a space where you can have a conversation about how's your business going for you right now? Where are you stopped? What's happening? Tell me, because that's a really insightful place to learn about yourself, to learn about others, and to see where those gaps are, right? See what's missing. Block time off for bad tasks. I call that eat the frog. Oh yeah, okay. So do you start with your like, I hate to do this task first, or do you like, is that the first thing you do, Andrea?
I will do it like for my business, I hate doing admin and invoicing. I'm a creative person, so I struggle with that. So I'll block a time off, say, and I will do it often in the morning, right?
Yeah.
But I'll do it like Friday morning and I'll get a cup of tea or whatever. And if I know I've got to do something, it's like psyching your mind up to it. Even on a personal level, you've got to kind of psych yourself up to it. I'm very much an all-in person. If I'm all in, then I do good, and I have to set that intention. When I'm not all in, I don't do good. So I kind of shift my mind. But I'm the kind of person that lies down. My husband thinks it's weird. I lie down, I can lie down, just have a cup of tea, or quiet my brain for 20 minutes. Maybe take a nap, and then I'm ready. I'm ready to go again. Because you need that quiet time. I feel it moves my problems to a different part of the brain. And that's when creative ideas come. If I'm too overwhelmed, I don't get creative ideas.
100%. And I think that's the essence of this entire thing right now, is that, I don't know about you, but for me, it's like, I don't want anyone to think I'm taking a nap. Like that's a bad thing, right? Because we've all been trained. Oh, you go to work, you work hard, and the harder you push and the better, then that's really great. But there's like, even if you're a hard working out person, I think, Marlon, this is your jurisdiction. I think you're like muscle man. You actually have to have rest periods, right? You can't rip the muscles every day, all day. That's why you have leg day. That's why you have arm day. And we somehow think it's like slacking off or we're lazy, but I don't think that's true. In fact, the more I lean into that thinking, that the nap, that thinking space, the more innovative I become. Yeah.
Actually, if I could just say one thing quickly about napping.
Yes.
There's been a whole bunch of research, and as you know, I read books. I obviously read a book that says take a nap is great for the brain. There's such an amazing research out there that people don't realize that I take 20-minute naps as much as I can on a daily basis, especially when I have a full plate ahead of me. Because within 20 minutes, the refresh is so amazing that I'm actually more alert. And I think when people are afraid to take naps, actually, they probably do more damage to themselves and their business, because the brain could only function at a certain level. And then once it's fatigued, the recharge takes a long time, because the brain could only store a certain amount of glucose or glutamine for energy. So the depletion, it goes very quickly. So multitasking actually doesn't work. Our brain just shut off and switch back and forth. And a lot of people think they're multitasking, but what they're doing is actually the brain is not helping them at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And we wear like a badge of honor. Oh, look at me, I'm multitasking. No, no, I'm not impressed, actually. Yeah. And so I feel excited that we can start changing this conversation about what it means to run a business and how that can look. And no, it doesn't mean, the joke is, I'm an entrepreneur. I can choose the 13 hours a day I want to work. Okay. And we joke about that, but really, do we want to be working 13 hours a day? No, we did this because we want to have some freedom. Yes, Jackie.
A couple of thoughts. Somebody put in the chat, and I think you had made mention about, the networking. I don't know, like and maybe I'm wrong. I'm just going to put it out there, but I find with how everything is transpired, and I'm speaking specifically, obviously, to my particular industry, that those people are very self-centered and very what's the word I'm looking for? Just, they don't tend to do the networking. And personally, myself, I've come to a space, and I've expressed this to you, where I find it exhausting to have to network with people I don't know anymore. And so therefore, there's that part of me when I say, I feel like sometimes I'm on the fence. I'm now more inside and don't talk to people and have to make an actual effort, or, in order to do that. So, I feel it's maybe beneficial for me as a DI, because I have become more self-aware of what I consider the things I see or saw in myself before. That when Jen did my profile, I literally cried. And so I was like, oh my God, I don't ever want to be like selfish, or, like, that's just, no, I want, you got to be careful, at serving yourself. But at the same time, like she says, for everybody, your personalities are different. And I hate lists, and I've learned so much from Jen when it comes to the whole gift thing, and I'm so thankful for that. But I hope that kind of made sense. I don't know if I kind of just went on a tangent there, and if I addressed a question, or it's just the whole, how do you do the networking thing when you're in such a transition, and it's just difficult. Like, I'm not enjoying it at all.
Yeah, and I think you've had a bit of so Jackie is still inside the wedding industry, which is what I did for 10 years of my life. Yeah, you do you, boo. That's right, you do you. And there's this beauty of really stepping deeply into who you are, and just showing up like that authentically. I think when it comes to networking, the goal is to always have an intention. For some people, it's to go and get clients all the time. And sometimes I like to say your agenda is showing, because they're like shoving cards, they haven't talked to you. They're not, like, that's just never going to work, right? Because that's not where relationships are built. You're not going to get a relationship out of a business card. And so I think the intention, you have to set it separately. Is it to go and, find 1 or 2 new people that you hadn't met inside the neighborhood? Is it to learn about some of the challenges that people are having? Is it to go and try the new caterer? I don't know, like, whatever it is, pick something and stick to it and be okay with it. And so it doesn't have to be always about, can I find a new client? Collaborating is sometimes challenging inside of businesses. So you're not going to collaborate with people that are doing what you're doing necessarily, because you can see that there's some people are just really resistant to that. So instead of finding other planners, you're going to go find the florists. You're going to go find the makeup artists. You're going to network with people that are complementary to what you're doing, so that you don't feel like it's competitive, because that's otherwise, yeah, it feels a little sticky. So yeah. So how do you create a business that makes room for innovation? Well, let's find out. By finding a new way to work. So that's really what this is all about. This whole thing, because I have been living inside of how do I create a better way to work? I think we all have since the pandemic started. If you're working virtually for the first time since the pandemic hit, that was a real shift for a lot of people. For me, it wasn't a big deal because I already worked from home, but learning how to have meetings with people, learning what is the limit of a Zoom call. How, are we getting zoomed out? Now I know I can do 2 hours a day. That's it. Or, again, it's all crafting, and it's seasonally too. When my kids are off in the summer, that's very different. I can't go for my walk at 7 o'clock in the morning when winter hits, because it's pitch black and I don't want to do that. And it's not safe and dangerous, or whatever, it's colder. So I have to change that. So that desire and the need to be fluid is what keeps us flexible and makes room for innovation, because as you change, you'll learn new things about your environment. When you go out, I actually really like going out at 7 o'clock because nobody's in the street. I don't have to wave to people. I don't have to, get off the road, or, oh my God, it's crazy at 7 o'clock in the morning because everybody's going to work, or whatever. You're going to learn stuff by being flexible and changing and trying new things. So, okay. So what does this mean for you? Honing your best flow inside the construct of what's available to you. What is the pro tip I was going to give you? Oh my God, I seriously can't remember. Oh, what was the pro tip? I'm so proud of this pro tip. Oh, I think I gave it to you already. It was blocking the time, not the activity. So I know I've only got to X amount, 11:15 or whatever it is. You don't have to regiment yourself. You can't time block inspiration. So you just have to time block the things that give you, like, look at your week. There are 3 things I do: imminence, sustenance, and maintenance. If you think about planting again, there's imminent things, right? Those are your top priorities. I've got the call at 3:30 today. I've got this presentation. There's a due date and a due date, right? When am I going to do the work that's due on this date? So for me, I need to pace myself. So I created this weeks ago, and I'm fine tuning and tweaking. I'll look at it again and I'll change the text, and it's just how I am. And it also, while there's an imminence, meaning there's a deadline to hit, I've also allowed myself a lot of room. So if a funny TikTok, or not TikTok, I'm big into reels these days, I know that I've got time to do that because I've done most of the work, and there's a level of reducing stress. So imminence, obviously you're going to plug that in. Sustenance and maintenance are kind of the same thing, a little bit different. Sustenance is like eating, right? It's the harvest. That's where your sales come in. But it's also your maintenance, and they kind of work hand in hand. You can't just throw a cold sale out to somebody. You can try, it usually doesn't work. So there's a level of maintenance. You got to go talk to your plants. You got to prune them and water them and get rid of the slugs and the weeds, and keep in touch and let them know that you're thinking about them and turn them toward the sun. And that's the maintenance, but it also leads into sales. So there is a whole cyclical part that comes along with any business, right? I know I'm not saying anything new, but structuring a thing that works for you in a way that works without the guilt and without the self-flogging is really where the success lives and where the money lives. So, and where the innovation lives. Okay. Also, I think this was a really important thing I was going to show you next. I'm super excited. So I know I jumped right into an offer here, but I am offering it because I feel like I'm so excited to share this with you. I am in a beta test right now, and I'm looking for people. I have created what's called the Inspired Entrepreneur Academy, and people like me, inspired people. I'm the high ISC personality. I have like 18% D. My husband's like 100% off the chart D and I. So I realize that there are not a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Gurus out there. Most of the gurus we know. Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, Kerwin Ray, Gary V. They're all like DI blends, which is awesome. That's like one of the really super successful entrepreneurial blends. They've got drive and they've got inspiration and innovation. But if you're an I personality, inspired, but also supportive, there's this whole other like messy stuff that goes along with it. Like I should help people, and I'm going to run myself into the ground, and the people pleasing, and how do I manage what looks like mania? Like I get inspired and I can do, like, I spend all Monday doing reels so that I'm ready for the week, but like, how do I manage this? So I started, since this pandemic hit, crafting and paying attention to how I do things so that I can show others, because I struggled for years because there really isn't anybody out there to follow. And so, because the people that I'm following, they're not doing what I'm doing. They think and do and be very different than me. And so I've had to struggle alone. So I decided, oh, I'm going to save all the people too. If you're like me and you are inspired, there is a place for you, and there's nothing wrong with you, which is why I started at the beginning. There's nothing wrong with you. And so I actually started to create a step-by-step, people pleaser, right? Me too. And that's the people side of us, the I and the S, Mr. Rogers, Mother Teresa, I's. We like to be out in the spotlight, and we want also people to like us. That's why entertainers, that's why they want their star on the hall of, the Walk of Fame, because they want to know that they're liked and whatever. It's just kind of who we are. There's pros and cons to everything. So you got to lean in where it works. So I'm helping inspired entrepreneurs get clarity, because that's what I was missing for me at first. Direction and aligned action from the inside out for a business that actually works. It's really when you understand who you are, how you do the world, then you can really craft a business that works, which is critical, because Gary V and Tony Robbins or Mel Robbins, whatever, they do it a certain way, and they tell you to do it that same way, because that works for them. But I am clear that it doesn't work for everybody. And so I would never say you have to do it this way. I'm going to say, here's what works for me as an inspired person. And you should listen to that little voice. And what does it tell you about how to innovate, when you need to get your work done? Are you feeling scattered? Are you missing clarity? Direction. Direction is a D word. I have 17 or 18% direction. So I lack clarity and decisions. I struggle in that area for a long time until I figured out a process. So the whole point is I'm creating this thing because I think there's people like me. And if this is interesting to you and you're like, oh my God, where have you been my whole life? You're in the right place today. But now I'm going to like jump into, thank you for that. Yeah. So here's something else that I learned. How is our time? I'm going on. Okay. Oh, 4:44. That's a good sign. I don't know what it means, but if our numerology people, you let me know. See, there's a high eye. We're like, ping, 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 ping. Stay focused, Jen. Here we go. One of the things I figured out was I was trying to create a business. And I was trying to like, here's a product. I'm going to make this product and then I'm going to try and sell it to people. That is a backwards way to do business. And I learned when I tried to figure out and stop and figure out who am I serving. And as soon as I figured that out, all my processes and my offers started falling into place because I was doing it the wrong way. So then I came up with this, because I was in the shower, I came up with this incredible ideal client avatar process, unlike anything else that is out there. Has nothing to do with demographics. It doesn't matter how much money they make. It doesn't matter where they live. It doesn't matter whether they're male or female, unless you're dealing specifically with that. It doesn't matter how old people are, how much money they make, or what car they drive, or what their hair color is. None of that is relevant, and we have to get away. It doesn't even have anything to do with values either. So that is $27. I'm telling you that because that's a standalone. If you're not quite sure, you're like, you know what, I don't know who I serve yet. Please consider doing that. It's a work at your own video pace, video and writable workbook that you can do. Discover your ideal client. No, it's just not for inspiring or dominant people. No, not at all. It's if you're resonating with the fact that you perhaps need some clarity or direction or a new way to do things, and Gary V ain't doing it for you. There is another way. There's nothing wrong with you. I swear that's going to be my tagline. Okay, so I'm just offering you, because this is a really big help for me. On my website, jennifermaxwell.ca, and then you can check out all the stuff there. Thanks, Marlon, for coming. I so appreciate it. I know you got to get going. Great to see you. Thanks for your input as well. The next part of this was the dream client. So once you have your ideal client, it's sort of like doing an online dating profile. You set it up. They all look good on paper, right? Well, that sounds good. And then you meet them. You're like, oh, I didn't think of that. And then becomes the fine tuning part. And this is where the dream client comes. And it talks about like really curating a herd of unicorns. And the people I'm working with now are like unicorns. I love them. They're all like amazing. I love them. And so, yeah, so that's like part 2. So if you don't know who your ideal client is, that's $27. You can just get that as a standalone. I have a bump offer. It's in my funnel. Thanks, Andrea. Yes, the website's in the chat there. Then you can get the second one for $37. So that's like part 2. But wait, there's more, just like Ginsu knives. I'm super excited. So I'm in the midst of building this out right now. And so it's the Inspired Entrepreneur Academy. So you can get this for $27 a month. You can get it all for $27 a month. And if you want to blow through it all in 1 month for right now, then you can have it all for $27. I'm still building it out. But right now, the Clarity Guidebook. So that's a freebie anyway. And I'm going to encourage you all to get that. If you just need some clarity, jennifermaxwell.ca/clarity guide. If you hit my website, you'll see it all. It's all there anyway. You're going to get the ideal client avatar. That's inside for $27. The dream client process is $37. That's included as well. Offers and funnel plan. I just loaded that. So those are 3 I have up there. And last summer I created Nail the Sale. That was like what I was trying to fumble my way through. It's incredible. It's how I managed a 90% closing rate in my wedding business. I sell that for $97. That's included as well. We have a members area, Facebook group. Oh, and I'm working on something called the Inspired Planner. I know, an oxymoron, but isn't that just the truth, right? If you're inspired and you can't pull your stuff together, this is going to be for you. It's coming soon. I'm hoping to have it out in the next month or so, before Christmas or before the new year. And we're going to be doing bi-weekly coaching sessions as well. I actually charge like $297 per hour to work with people. So that's going to get included as well. Right now I'm doing it $27 a month, but honestly, it's going up. I'm going to like up it to 47 and then up it probably to 97. If this is something that interests you right now and you just want to get inside this conversation a little bit, I would love your feedback and your insight. For as long as you'd like to continue and offer and be in that space and share and just have this great community. So if this is of interest to you, jennifermaxwell.ca/membership. I'm changing that too. I'm going to change all my sales pages, but I wanted to bring this to you because I'm really excited. There's more to come, but this is kind of what's up there for right now. And really, it's time to innovate, right? Let's get innovating. $27 a month. I love this. But the most important thing is, you can get clarity. So I want to offer you something just for being here today. I'm so grateful for the BACD to give me the opportunity to get in front of you and to share my thoughts, because I really just love entrepreneurs. We're like a special breed and we need to stick together. The clarity guide, that's free. It's just a freebie. You can go grab it on my website where the red arrow is. But also, if you are interested and you know you need a little bit of insight and you're like, yeah, I just could love to pick her brain for a little bit, please set up a free 30-minute clarity call. Just send me an email, jennifermaxwell.ca, jennifer@jennifermaxwell.ca. And I'd be happy to hop on a call with you. Some people have gotten some huge insight. They've changed the trajectory of their business. I have this woman who I talked to in New Zealand. She's like, I'm going to quit my job and become a traveling vet. And she did. And that was just out of one call. So you never know what can come out of it. Sometimes you just need to have that someone to bounce those ideas off that sees that what's possible instead of what's not possible. And that's me. Finally, I have one request. I am trying to grow my following on Instagram and YouTube. I would so love a follow, a thumbs up. I'm doing a whole lot of fun content on Instagram right now. And all of my handles are Jennifer R. Maxwell, mind the extra R. I am 2 people away from 2,000 followers on Instagram. If you could help me out, that would make my day. But I really want to continue to serve you. At the back there, you can also see there's some DISC personality profiles. You can grab that off my website for as like little as $12.95 USD to get like right in your inbox directly. You just do it online and you get the results. So that's really a super insightful way to really kind of get to know yourself a little bit, which would help you refine your schedule, which would help you make room for that innovation and to really know how you work best, whether you're a task person or a people person, and how you need to make room for all of this. Oh my gosh, have I talked your ears off? Oh my gosh, I'm crushing the time today. Look at me, I'm so happy. Okay, yeah, thanks Jackie. Yay, thanks Ken. I could use some followers. Okay. All right, thank you so much. I'm going to leave this up here. There's a couple of things I want to make sure I thank BACD for this as well. And you can also join my free Facebook group if you want. But anyway, I'm happy to answer any questions. Before I, thank you so much, Basil. I really appreciate it. I just want to say next week, this is from the BACD, for sure. I'll put the links in the chat. November 8th to 12th, next a free drop-in next, is it this week? This is the 8th to 12th. This week.
Yep.
Okay. So there is.
We still have a couple more days.
Okay. Yeah. So you can get into the office, right? And do like some.
Yeah. So it's like co-working space that they're offering,
yes,
just for people to try it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then.
And how many people do you allow in the space right now, Andrea?
Yeah, they've got a thing that says about COVID, so they've got the COVID protocols in place, but if you're interested in going and checking out the space, it's all about, really, it's provided by the town of Whitby, and then it's an innovator space. There's a lot of innovative type businesses there, so it's kind of interesting. So if anybody wanted to try that out, they could. I'm just going to throw in an event for tomorrow morning that I'm starting at. This event starts at 8, so it's how to increase sales without the ick. So I'm just going to throw that in the chat. So that's our next one coming tomorrow morning. So you still have 2 more days of events. Come on, I want to see you at all of them.
No, so good. Like honestly, let's just talk about how amazing this is. How many times you get to build your business? think these are all complimentary. I'm just 3 cheers to BACD for that. Oh, and there's some sponsors. Let me just share that too, because that's important. These sponsors, yay! All these amazing sponsors have really contributed. We're so grateful. I'm grateful to be part of it. I'm grateful that when I left the industry, a wedding industry, and I started, one of the first things I did, the first event I went to was in January. I think it was Marlene Marco. If you're local to Durham, you know Marlene. It was like January, I don't know, 3rd or 4th. And that was my introduction into the BACD and the whole world that's here. And I couldn't be more grateful. So thank you for including me, Andrea. Thank you everybody for joining me
That's
today.
what I really love about this week. You know, like we like it's intense. We're all going crazy. We're all, you know, like, but it's such a fun week. And we realize that we see a lot of people come to the same events, and especially when it was in person, people would just leave with lifelong friends and get that support from the entrepreneurship community, people sharing their expertise, you know, building business, creating a network, creating people that can support them, and really look at the resources that are available. So I appreciate everybody being here today.